The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser, developed by the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars, was a terrifying warship equipped with one of the most powerful and unique weapons in galactic warfare, the Mega-Ion Cannon. This primary weapon, mounted on each side of the ship's bow, defined the Subjugator's purpose as a siege vessel, capable of incapacitating entire fleets rather than simply destroying individual ships. The Mega-Ion Cannon represented a significant leap in weapon technology, focusing on disabling enemy systems rather than causing direct physical damage. The Mega-Ion Cannon works by generating and discharging a massive surge of ion energy. Unlike traditional energy weapons, which deliver intense bursts of heat or explosive force, ion cannons are designed to release electromagnetic pulses that interfere with electrical and mechanical systems. When fired, the Mega-Ion Cannon emits a concentrated ion beam that disables starship shields, engines, weapons, and electronic systems, rendering the target defenseless and immobile. The pulse overloads critical components by short-circuiting electronics and burning out vital systems, leaving enemy vessels vulnerable to subsequent attacks from conventional weapons or boarding parties. The power of the Mega-Ion Cannon is immense, capable of affecting multiple ships at once, even those with advanced shielding. Starfighters, capital ships, and space stations within the weapon's range and arc of fire are at risk of being neutralized by a single shot. It is the scale and intensity of this ion discharge that makes the Mega-Ion Cannon one of the most feared weapons in the CIS fleet. The Mega-Ion Cannon is a massive, highly complex piece of weaponry integrated directly into the Subjugator-class cruiser's hull. It consists of several key components, all working together to generate, amplify, and direct the ion blast. Located deep within the ship's core, the charge generators are responsible for creating the raw ion energy required for the cannon to function. These generators draw power directly from the cruiser's main reactor, which is specifically designed to produce the massive amounts of energy necessary for such a large-scale weapon. The energy is stored and built up before being released in a concentrated pulse. Once the ion energy is generated, it is channeled through energy conduits that run the length of the ship to the cannon's firing mechanisms. These conduits are heavily shielded to prevent any interference with the ship's own systems. The conduits themselves are lined with special materials that can withstand the intense electromagnetic forces generated during the weapon's charging and discharge cycles. Before being fired, the ion energy passes through a series of capacitors and amplifiers, which both stabilize and intensify the charge. These components are critical to ensuring that the ion blast is concentrated and powerful enough to affect even heavily armored capital ships, or those protected by advanced deflector shields. The focusing array is responsible for shaping and directing the ion blast. It allows the crew to adjust the beam's spread, focusing it on a single target for maximum impact, or broadening it to affect multiple ships within a certain area. The array is highly adjustable, making the weapon versatile in different tactical situations. The actual firing ports of the Mega-Ion Cannon are located on either side of the ship's forward section, where the massive barrels protrude from the hull. These discharge ports are protected by heavy armor plating, with mechanisms in place to prevent overheating or overloading during extended engagements. The entire system is heavily integrated into the cruiser's infrastructure, meaning that damage to the ion cannon's components could have severe repercussions for the ship itself, as the energy levels involved in its operation are immense. Thus, these sections of the ship are heavily armored and protected by internal shielding. The power required to operate the Mega-Ion Cannon is enormous, drawing directly from the Subjugator-class's main reactor. The reactor itself is a high-output fusion core, designed to generate the energy necessary not only to power the ship's propulsion and defense systems, but also to fuel its main weapon. During combat, the ship must allocate a significant portion of its energy reserves to charge the Mega-Ion Cannon, which means that other systems may be temporarily reduced in power output, including shields or secondary weapons. Recharging the Mega-Ion Cannon after firing is a time-consuming process. After each shot, the capacitors need to be refilled, and the ion generators must rebuild the energy required for the next discharge. This recharge cycle can take several minutes, making the cannon a weapon that must be used strategically. The Subjugator-class cruiser often relies on other support ships or its secondary armament to defend itself, while the Mega-Ion Cannon is recharging. The Mega-Ion Cannon is primarily a disabling weapon rather than one designed for direct destruction. Its primary role is to incapacitate enemy fleets, neutralizing their ability to fight back by disabling critical systems. Once the enemy ships are rendered immobile and powerless, they can either be destroyed with conventional weapons or boarded and captured by CIS forces. In large fleet battles, the Subjugator-class cruiser would position itself at a distance, using its massive range and power to target the largest and most critical enemy ships. A single shot from the mega-ion cannon could disable an entire enemy flagship, allowing the rest of the fleet to concentrate on smaller or less protected targets. Additionally, the cannon's broad firing capability means it can affect multiple ships at once, making it a weapon of choice for large-scale engagements where the enemy is grouped together. The mega-ion cannon is particularly effective in siege warfare, where it can disable planetary defense systems or space stations from a distance. By neutralizing these defensive structures, the Confederacy could conduct planetary assaults or invasions with minimal risk to their own forces. In such operations, the Subjugator-class cruiser would play a critical role in softening up enemy defenses before ground forces were deployed. The psychological impact of the mega-ion cannon cannot be understated. The sight of an entire fleet or defense station being rendered powerless by a single shot was designed to instill fear in both military personnel and civilian populations. The weapon's use often signaled the impending defeat of those targeted, as they would be left defenseless against the ensuing assault by CIS forces. Despite its immense power, the mega-ion cannon has several limitations. The recharging time between shots leaves the ship vulnerable, and its reliance on the main reactor means that extended combat or heavy damage to the reactor could render the cannon inoperable. Furthermore, while the ion blast is effective at disabling enemy ships, it does not directly cause significant structural damage, meaning that follow-up attacks are required to finish off targets. This makes the Subjugator-class cruiser heavily dependent on its escort ships or secondary weapons. The mega-ion cannon's design reflects the CIS's strategy of using overwhelming technological superiority to outmatch the Galactic Republic's fleet. Unlike traditional turbo-laser-based warships, the Subjugator-class cruiser was envisioned as a strategic asset capable of turning the tide of battle with a single shot. Its role was to undermine the Republic's numerical superiority by taking their most powerful ships out of the fight without needing to engage in prolonged firefights. The concept of using ion technology at such a massive scale was revolutionary. The weapon's development drew on years of research into ion weapons, scaling up the technology from smaller, Starfighter-mounted ion cannons to a capital-class weapon capable of disabling entire fleets. The result was a weapon that, while slower to use, could completely neutralize enemy forces and dramatically shift the balance of power in any engagement. The mega-ion cannon of the Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser was a weapon unlike any other in the Clone Wars. Designed to incapacitate rather than destroy, it was a weapon of strategic importance, capable of rendering entire fleets helpless. Its immense power, combined with its ability to disable critical systems, made it a cornerstone of the Confederacy's naval strategy. Though limited by long recharge times and its reliance on the ship's reactor, the mega-ion cannon remains a symbol of the CIS's technological innovation and its ability to challenge the Galactic Republic in large-scale warfare. While the Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is primarily known for its devastating mega-ion cannons, the ship is also equipped with an array of additional weapons designed to defend itself, engage enemy fleets, and support its primary role as a fleet disabler. These secondary systems consist of turbo lasers, point defense weaponry, and other support armaments, making the Subjugator a formidable warship in both offensive and defensive roles. These systems ensure that the cruiser is not left vulnerable during the recharging cycles of its mega-ion cannons, providing comprehensive firepower across a range of combat scenarios. The heavy turbo lasers on the Subjugator-class cruiser serve as the ship's primary offensive weapons outside of the mega-ion cannons. These turbo lasers are mounted in multiple batteries across the ship's hull, particularly along the dorsal and ventral surfaces, as well as on the sides. Their primary purpose is to engage enemy capital ships and fortifications. Heavy turbo lasers are high-energy weapons that fire concentrated bolts of plasma or energy at their targets. They operate by ionizing gas particles inside the weapon and accelerating them through magnetic fields to achieve destructive levels of force. Upon impact, these bolts can penetrate the shields and hulls of enemy ships, causing significant structural damage. The heavy turbolasers on the Subjugator-class cruiser are capable of delivering immense firepower over long distances, allowing the ship to engage enemy targets at range. These weapons are especially effective against medium-sized capital ships like Republic Venator-class star destroyers. The heavy turbolasers' range and precision allow the Subjugator to provide supporting fire in fleet engagements, even from a distance where its mega-ion cannons are not immediately necessary. These turbolasers are typically organized in batteries, each containing multiple barrels that can be fired simultaneously. This allows for concentrated volleys of fire that can overwhelm enemy shields or cripple enemy vessels with successive hits. The batteries are distributed to cover all firing arcs, ensuring that no area around the cruiser is left undefended. In engagements where the mega-ion cannon is either recharging or unnecessary, the heavy turbolasers serve as the Subjugator's main weaponry. They allow the ship to engage in prolonged combat while also protecting it from enemy ships that may try to exploit the cruiser's vulnerable moments. The combination of heavy turbolasers with the mega-ion cannon makes the Subjugator versatile, capable of both disabling and outright destroying enemy forces. In addition to its heavy turbolasers, the Subjugator-class cruiser is equipped with medium turbolasers, which are smaller and less powerful but fire at a faster rate. These weapons are designed to engage smaller ships, such as frigates, corvettes, and even starfighters. Medium turbolasers operate on similar principles to heavy turbolasers, but at a smaller scale. Their bolts are still capable of damaging shields and armor, but are more effective against lightly armored targets. Due to their faster firing rate, these weapons are particularly useful for dealing with agile ships that might otherwise evade the slower fire of the heavier turbolasers. Medium turbolasers are often used for flanking fire, engaging smaller, faster ships that attempt to outmaneuver the Subjugator. In fleet battles, they target the enemy's escort ships, which often pose a significant threat to larger cruisers if left unchecked. The medium turbolasers work in conjunction with the ship's other point defense systems to provide a layered defense against close-range attacks. In addition to their offensive capabilities, medium turbolasers play a crucial defensive role. When smaller ships or bombers attempt to bypass the cruiser's primary defenses to attack weak points, the medium turbolasers can be directed to neutralize these threats. This defensive layer is crucial during moments when the ship's mega-ion cannon is either out of commission or focused on larger targets. To protect the Subjugator-class cruiser from starfighters and missiles, the ship is equipped with a series of point defense laser cannons. These are rapid-firing, short-range weapons specifically designed to intercept fast-moving, small-scale threats that the larger turbolasers might struggle to hit. Point defense laser cannons fire rapid bursts of energy bolts, designed to destroy or disrupt incoming threats such as missiles, torpedoes, and starfighters. These cannons can track fast-moving targets with precision, using advanced targeting systems to lock onto and destroy them before they pose a serious threat. These cannons are placed strategically around the ship, ensuring that all angles are covered. Key areas, such as the hangar bays, the bridge, and the mega-ion cannon's discharge ports, are particularly well defended to prevent direct attacks on these critical points. The point defense laser cannons are part of an integrated defensive system that works alongside the Subjugator's shields and electronic countermeasures. The ship's sensors and targeting computers constantly scan the surrounding space for incoming threats, automatically directing point defense fire where needed. This creates a near-impenetrable barrier for starfighters and missile strikes, making it difficult for smaller enemy craft to exploit the cruiser's vulnerabilities. The Subjugator-class cruiser also features a series of tractor beam projectors, which are used to capture and immobilize enemy ships, holding them in place for boarding actions or direct bombardment. These tractor beams are an essential tool in the ship's arsenal, particularly given the Subjugator's reliance on disabling enemy vessels rather than outright destroying them. Tractor beams generate a powerful force field that latches onto a target ship, preventing it from moving or escaping. Once a target is locked in place, it can be reeled in or held at a specific distance, allowing the Subjugator to engage it with precision fire or prepare boarding parties for capture. The tractor beams are particularly useful after the mega-ion cannon has disabled an enemy ship. Once a ship's systems are offline, tractor beams can be used to hold it in place, ensuring that it remains defenseless while the Subjugator or accompanying vessels move in for the kill or initiate boarding operations. This allows the CIS to capture valuable enemy assets rather than destroy them, potentially using them for intelligence or propaganda purposes. Tractor beams also serve a defensive purpose, particularly in dealing with smaller ships that attempt hit-and-run tactics or evasion. By capturing these vessels and preventing them from maneuvering, the Subjugator's other weapons can easily target and destroy or disable them. While the mega-ion cannon serves as the ship's primary disabling weapon, the Subjugator is also armed with a series of heavy ion cannons that provide additional ion-based firepower. These cannons are smaller and more versatile than the mega-ion cannon, but still capable of disabling the systems of enemy ships. Heavy ion cannons operate similarly to the mega-ion cannon, though on a reduced scale. These cannons fire concentrated ion energy blasts designed to disrupt and disable enemy shields, engines, and electronic systems. Unlike the mega-ion cannon, they do not require as much energy to operate and can be fired more frequently, making them valuable in prolonged engagements. The heavy ion cannons are typically used to soften up enemy ships before heavier weapons are brought to bear. By disabling an enemy ship's shields or engines, the Subjugator can quickly gain the upper hand in a battle, leaving the target vulnerable to follow-up attacks from turbo lasers or boarding parties. These cannons often work in tandem with the ship's heavy turbo lasers, weakening enemy defenses and allowing the turbo lasers to strike more effectively. Their presence on the ship ensures that even when the mega-ion cannon is not operational, the Subjugator can still engage in its primary role of disabling enemy forces. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is far more than just a platform for its mega-ion cannons. The ship's secondary weapons, including heavy turbo lasers, medium turbo lasers, point defense laser cannons, tractor beams, and heavy ion cannons, all contribute to its effectiveness in battle. These systems allow the Subjugator to engage and destroy a wide range of targets, from massive capital ships to nimble starfighters, while maintaining its primary role as a fleet disabler. The combination of disabling weapons and destructive firepower makes the Subjugator a versatile and fearsome asset in the Confederacy of Independent Systems fleet, capable of overwhelming even the most well-defended Republic fleets. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser, a massive warship of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, is not only a technological marvel in terms of firepower, but also in terms of propulsion and energy generation. This cruiser relies on a sophisticated set of engines, power plants, and cooling systems to support its immense size, powerful weaponry, and long-range capabilities. Given its role as a capital ship designed to disable fleets and dominate space battles, the ship's propulsion and energy systems are critical to its strategic success. The Subjugator-class cruiser is powered by a set of massive sublight ion engines that provide the necessary thrust to maneuver the ship in real space. These engines are crucial for moving the cruiser, which is over 4,800 meters in length, through space at a tactical level, allowing it to reposition within a battle, approach or retreat from enemy fleets, and avoid potential threats like planetary defenses. The Subjugator's main engines are ion-based, utilizing ionized gas to generate thrust. This process involves the ionization of particles, which are accelerated and expelled through electromagnetic fields, creating propulsion. Ion engines are standard for large capital ships, offering a balance between efficiency and the ability to sustain long journeys across star systems. The ion engines of the Subjugator class are particularly robust, capable of propelling the ship's massive bulk at competitive speeds for a vessel of its size. Despite its size, the Subjugator-class cruiser is capable of achieving moderate sublight speeds, comparable to other heavy cruisers of its class. While it lacks the maneuverability of smaller ships, its engines provide it with enough speed to engage in fleet actions and conduct long-range missions. Its main strength lies in strategic positioning rather than agile combat, often moving slowly into range to bring its powerful weapons to bear. In addition to its primary ion engines, the Subjugator is equipped with maneuvering thrusters located along its hull, which allow for precise adjustments in its trajectory. These thrusters are essential for turning and adjusting the ship's orientation during space combat or while entering and exiting a hyperspace jump. The Subjugator-class cruiser is equipped with a Class 1 hyperdrive, which is considered to be fairly fast for a ship of its size. This hyperdrive allows the ship to traverse the vast distances of the galaxy through hyperspace, jumping between star systems in relatively short periods of time. With a Class 1 hyperdrive, the Subjugator can travel through hyperspace at speeds that rival many contemporary Republic ships, allowing it to arrive quickly on the battlefield or escape if necessary. The Class 1 rating means the ship can complete long-distance jumps quickly, making it ideal for ambushes or surprise attacks during the Clone Wars. Like many large capital ships, the Subjugator is also equipped with a backup hyperdrive, rated at Class 10. This slower hyperdrive system is in place to ensure the ship can retreat or evacuate in the event of a main hyperdrive malfunction, though it operates at a significantly reduced speed. The sheer size and power requirements of the Subjugator-class cruiser necessitate a robust and sophisticated power generation system. At the heart of this system are the ship's primary fusion reactors, which provide energy for the ship's engines, weapons, shields, life support, and other critical systems. The Subjugator class relies on multiple high-output fusion reactors, which produce energy through the fusion of hydrogen atoms. These reactors are located deep within the ship's hull, protected by layers of armor and shielding to prevent catastrophic damage. The reactors generate enormous amounts of energy, which are then distributed across the ship's systems. A significant portion of this energy is used to power the ship's main engines, the massive mega-ion cannon, and its turbolaser batteries. The ship's power plant is designed to support long-duration engagements and extended missions. It carries substantial energy reserves that can be used to maintain full operational capacity even if the reactors are temporarily disrupted. These reserves ensure that the ship can continue to operate at near maximum efficiency for extended periods, allowing it to engage in prolonged sieges or deep space missions far from resupply points. Given the enormous amount of heat generated by the Subjugator-class cruiser's reactors, weapons, and engines, the ship requires an advanced cooling system to prevent overheating and maintain operational efficiency. The cooling systems consist of heat exchangers and radiators that absorb and dissipate the heat generated by the ship's internal systems. This is particularly critical during combat, where both the engines and weapons operate at full capacity, producing significant heat. The heat exchangers transfer excess heat to the outer hull, where it is radiated into space. Certain parts of the ship, especially near the reactors and weapon mounts, use liquid-cooled systems to manage localized hotspots. These systems circulate coolant throughout the ship, absorbing heat from sensitive components and transferring it to the radiators for expulsion. Without these systems, the ship's advanced weapons, such as the mega-ion cannon, would overheat and potentially suffer catastrophic failures. The Subjugator-class cruiser operates on hydrogen fuel for its fusion reactors, which is stored in massive fuel reserves located within the ship. These reserves are designed to sustain the ship during long-range missions or extended engagements without needing to refuel frequently. The fusion reactors are relatively fuel-efficient, allowing the Subjugator to operate for extended periods between resupply stops. However, the use of the mega-ion cannon and other energy-intensive systems can drain fuel reserves faster, particularly during high-intensity combat operations. The fuel is stored in highly reinforced, pressurized tanks that are well protected within the ship's structure. This ensures that even if the ship suffers hull breaches or combat damage, the risk of a fuel explosion is minimized. The size and mass of the Subjugator-class cruiser requires sophisticated systems to manage both artificial gravity and inertial forces within the ship. The Subjugator-class cruiser is equipped with gravity generators that maintain artificial gravity throughout the ship, ensuring that the crew can operate in a gravity-normal environment. These generators are placed at key points within the ship's structure, creating a uniform gravitational field that allows for normal movement and operation. Given the ship's size and the forces exerted during space travel, especially during acceleration or sudden changes in direction, the Subjugator-class cruiser is fitted with inertial compensators. These systems counteract the effects of rapid acceleration, ensuring that the crew and ship systems are not damaged by the extreme forces that would otherwise occur during high-speed maneuvers or hyperspace jumps. Without these compensators, the crew would be subjected to crushing G-forces that would make combat operations impossible. While the Subjugator-class cruiser is designed for space operations, it is equipped with repulsor lift technology that allows for atmospheric entry under certain circumstances. The ship's repulsor lift systems can generate anti-gravity fields, which allow it to hover and move within a planet's atmosphere. These systems are typically used when the ship needs to enter low orbit or descend into a planet's atmosphere for planetary bombardments or specific operations. Despite its massive size, the Subjugator-class cruiser can theoretically enter a planet's atmosphere, though this is not its primary mode of operation. Due to the strain it places on the ship's systems, particularly the repulsor lift engines and inertial compensators, Atmospheric entry is generally avoided unless absolutely necessary. Operating within an atmosphere severely limits the ship's maneuverability and could make it vulnerable to ground-based defenses. While the Subjugator-class cruiser is designed for space operations, it is equipped with repulsor lift technology that allows for atmospheric entry under certain circumstances. The ship's repulsor lift systems can generate anti-gravity fields, which allow it to hover and move within a planet's atmosphere. These systems are typically used when the ship needs to enter low orbit or descend into a planet's atmosphere for planetary bombardments or specific operations. Despite its massive size, the Subjugator-class cruiser can theoretically enter a planet's atmosphere, though this is not its primary mode of operation. Due to the strain it places on the ship's systems, particularly the repulsor lift engines and inertial compensators, atmospheric entry is generally avoided unless absolutely necessary. Operating within an atmosphere severely limits the ship's maneuverability and could make it vulnerable to ground-based defenses. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is a technological powerhouse with a robust propulsion system, advanced fusion reactors, and extensive power reserves that make it one of the most formidable ships in the galaxy. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser, designed and built by the Confederacy of Independent Systems, is a massive warship equipped with cutting-edge technology and a well-organized crew to manage its numerous systems. As a powerful command ship, the Subjugator class is home to a significant biological crew, supported by an extensive array of droids. The ship also houses aviation assets, transported troops, and large hangars capable of supporting full-scale military operations. The Subjugator-class cruiser is operated by a mixed complement of biological crew members and droids, with the latter being heavily relied upon by the CIS due to their advanced automation and cost-effectiveness. Given the ship's sheer size and complexity, the crew structure is divided into various departments responsible for specific tasks. The human and alien crew aboard the Subjugator-class cruiser is estimated to number thousands of personnel, tasked with command, navigation, communication, weapons control, and the maintenance of key systems. Officers, technicians, engineers, and other specialists oversee the ship's operations, working alongside droids to ensure optimal efficiency. The majority of the ship's workload is handled by battle droids, maintenance droids, and navigation droids. These droids are responsible for maintaining the ship's systems, conducting repairs, operating weapons, and even manning stations under the supervision of the biological crew. Droids significantly reduce the need for biological crew members and allow the Subjugator to operate with a relatively low human presence compared to Republic ships. Despite the heavy reliance on droids, the Subjugator-class cruiser provides accommodations for its biological crew. These quarters vary in size and luxury depending on rank, from standard barracks-style rooms for enlisted personnel to more spacious quarters for officers. Lower-ranking crew members, including technicians, engineers, and soldiers, are housed in barracks-style cabins. These cabins are compact, with bunk beds, storage lockers, and minimal personal space. While functional, they are designed for efficiency rather than comfort. The design reflects the utilitarian nature of the Confederacy's war machine, with the primary focus on maintaining the ship's operational capacity. Officers aboard the Subjugator-class cruiser enjoy more spacious accommodations, with private cabins that include individual sleeping areas, desks, and personal storage. High-ranking officers, such as the ship's commanding officers or fleet commanders, may have access to even more luxurious quarters, which can serve as command centers for fleet operations. The Subjugator-class cruiser is equipped with dining facilities and recreation areas to maintain crew morale during long space deployments. Given the size of the ship and the number of personnel on board, these spaces are distributed throughout the vessel. The ship contains multiple mess halls, where the biological crew gathers for meals. These halls are designed to serve large numbers of personnel quickly, with droid-operated food dispensers providing rations. The food is typically utilitarian, aimed at providing necessary nutrients rather than gourmet meals. However, the higher-ranking officers may have access to better quality provisions in private dining areas. In addition to the mess halls, the Subjugator-class cruiser includes limited recreation areas for the biological crew. These areas feature simple amenities such as holotables, exercise equipment, and lounges where crew members can relax and socialize during their off-duty hours. While not luxurious, These facilities are essential for maintaining the crew's physical and mental well-being during extended space voyages. Given the heavy reliance on droids, the Subjugator-class cruiser includes extensive workshops and maintenance bays dedicated to the repair and upkeep of its droid complement. These facilities are essential for ensuring that the ship's droid workforce remains operational, especially during combat situations where damage to systems and droids is inevitable. The ship's workshops are equipped with automated repair stations, droid parts storage, and diagnostic tools that allow technicians and specialized maintenance droids to quickly repair damaged units. These workshops are spread across the ship, ensuring that droids in all areas can receive necessary maintenance. The Subjugator's systems allow for rapid diagnostics and repair, minimizing downtime for critical droid operations. When not in use, droids are stored in designated bays where they can be powered down and charged. These bays are strategically located near the ship's key systems and operational areas, allowing droids to be quickly deployed as needed. The Subjugator-class cruiser is designed to serve as a fleet command ship and carries a significant complement of starfighters, troop transports, and support craft to bolster its combat effectiveness. The ship's large hangars are capable of housing and deploying a wide variety of vessels, making it a formidable force in space battles. The Subjugator class features multiple large hangar bays capable of storing and maintaining a variety of craft. These hangars can house dozens of starfighters, including the iconic Vulture droids, as well as Hyena bombers and other CIS support craft. The hangars are also equipped with repair stations, refueling docks, and droid-operated maintenance systems to keep the starfighters in peak condition. The ship's aviation component typically includes squadrons of Vulture droids, Hyena-class bombers, and Tri-fighter droids, all of which are automated and designed to support fleet actions. These fighters provide both offensive and defensive capabilities, with the ability to overwhelm enemy fighter screens and perform bombing runs against capital ships and ground targets. In addition to starfighters, the Subjugator-class cruiser carries troop transports such as C-9979 landing craft, which are used to deploy battle droids and ground forces during planetary invasions. These transports can deliver large numbers of B-1 and B-2 battle droids, as well as heavier units like droidekas and AATs. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is not only a space-based weapons platform but also a carrier for ground forces. Its hangars and transport vessels allow it to deploy troops and vehicles for planetary operations. The Subjugator-class cruiser can carry tens of thousands of battle droids, including B-1 battle droids, B-2 super battle droids, and droidekas. These droid forces are stored in compact racks within the hangars and are deployed via landing craft during invasions. The droids are kept in a powered-down state to conserve energy until they are needed for combat. The ship also carries armored vehicles such as AATs and MTTs, which provide heavy firepower and troop transport capabilities for ground operations. These vehicles are loaded into landing craft and deployed as part of planetary assaults. The hangars aboard the Subjugator-class cruiser are equipped with sophisticated launch and recovery systems designed to handle large-scale fighter and transport deployments efficiently. These systems are crucial for ensuring the rapid deployment of starfighters and troops during combat operations. Some of the Subjugator-class cruiser's starfighter squadrons are launched via dedicated launch tubes that accelerate the ships into space. These tubes are designed to minimize the time it takes to get starfighters into battle, allowing the ship to deploy its aviation assets quickly. After combat, returning fighters and transports are guided back into the hangars, where they undergo immediate repairs and refueling. Droid-operated maintenance crews and automated systems allow for rapid turnaround, enabling damaged or depleted fighters to return to the battle quickly. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is a self-sufficient warship with a complex internal structure designed to support both biological and droid crews, while also maintaining a formidable aviation and troop deployment capacity. Its crew cabins, mess halls, and recreation areas ensure that the biological crew can sustain long-term operations, while the extensive workshops and maintenance bays ensure the smooth operation of its droid workforce. The ship's hangars house a significant complement of starfighters, transports, and ground vehicles, making it a critical asset in both space battles and planetary invasions. The well-integrated systems for launching and recovering aviation assets, combined with its ability to transport and deploy large numbers of troops and armored vehicles, make the Subjugator-class cruiser a key component of the CIS's military strategy during the Clone Wars. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is one of the largest and most powerful ships in the Confederacy of Independent Systems fleet during the Clone Wars. Its design emphasizes firepower, command capabilities, and durability, making it an imposing force on the battlefield. Every aspect of the ship's structure, from its command systems to its internal infrastructure, is engineered to support its role as a fleet command ship and a mobile weapons platform. At the heart of the Subjugator-class cruiser's control systems is its main command bridge, a vast, high-tech nerve center that directs the operations of the ship during battle. This bridge is located near the upper central part of the ship, providing commanding officers with a wide view of the battlefield and quick access to critical ship systems. The primary command center is a highly fortified and well-organized space where the commanding officers oversee all aspects of the ship's operations. It features numerous control stations for navigation, weapons, and communications, manned by both biological crew and droids. The bridge's design allows for rapid coordination during intense battles, with key systems integrated into consoles that provide real-time data on enemy movements, fleet positions, and the ship's own operational status. The central captain's chair serves as the ship's command hub, allowing the captain to issue orders and oversee the crew's actions. In the event of damage to the main bridge, the Subjugator-class cruiser includes several reserve command centers located in different parts of the ship. These secondary command posts are smaller but still capable of controlling the ship's essential functions, ensuring continuity of command even in the face of severe damage or boarding actions. The Subjugator-class cruiser is outfitted with advanced sensor arrays and scanner systems to monitor space around it, detect enemy ships, and track battlefield developments with precision. These systems are crucial for long-range targeting, fleet coordination, and situational awareness. The ship's sensor arrays are distributed across its hull, providing 360-degree coverage and capable of detecting ships from vast distances. These arrays include long-range scanners, thermal sensors, and subspace communication interceptors, allowing the subjugator to monitor both physical and electronic activity in the area. In addition to its sensors, the Subjugator class employs specialized battlefield scanners that can detect cloaked or stealthed ships, as well as pinpoint weak points in enemy vessels. These systems are vital for the operation of its mega-ion cannons, as accurate data is needed to disable enemy targets efficiently. The ship boasts a robust communication array capable of handling encrypted transmissions, holonet communications, and fleet-wide broadcasts. These systems allow the subjugator's command staff to coordinate with other CIS ships and droid forces, while also jamming or intercepting enemy communications. The ship's extensive guidance and control systems are crucial for managing its massive arsenal and navigation capabilities. These systems ensure that the ship's weaponry, especially the mega-ion cannons, is accurately targeted and can be used with devastating effect. Advanced fire control computers are used to coordinate targeting for the ship's heavy weaponry. These systems incorporate data from the ship's sensor arrays and scanners, allowing it to lock onto enemy vessels with precision and fire at long ranges. The mega-ion cannons rely on these systems for accurate firing solutions, particularly when targeting specific parts of enemy ships to maximize their disabling effects. The subjugator's control systems also extend to the ship's defensive capabilities, including deflector shields and hull integrity monitors, which are managed through the ship's bridge and reserve control centers. Automated systems can reroute power to critical systems during combat, ensuring that the ship remains operational even under heavy fire. Given its enormous size, the Subjugator-class cruiser requires an efficient and complex internal infrastructure to ensure smooth movement for both crew and droids across the ship. The internal layout is designed for both operational efficiency and rapid response during combat situations. The ship features numerous elevator shafts that allow personnel and droids to move between decks quickly. These elevators connect critical areas such as the bridge, hangars, engineering sections, and crew quarters, enabling fast response times in emergencies or combat scenarios. The corridors of the subjugator are wide, utilitarian, and designed to accommodate the movement of both personnel and droids. These hallways are reinforced and compartmentalized, allowing sections of the ship to be sealed off in the event of a hull breach or boarding action. Security measures, such as blast doors and defensive turrets, are placed strategically throughout the corridors. For moving equipment, droids, and supplies, the Subjugator-class cruiser utilizes an internal network of transport trains. These automated trains run along tracks built into the ship's structure and can carry large cargo or maintenance teams between various sections. This system allows for rapid resupply and repair efforts, especially in the event of battle damage. The Subjugator-class cruiser has a unique and imposing external design that reflects its role as a heavily armed and durable warship. Its overall shape and power frame are optimized for battle, with layers of armor and shielding to protect its critical systems. The ship has an elongated, flattened profile, with a long central spine that houses the command centers, engines, and primary power systems. The hull extends outward from this central spine in wide, angular wings, which contain the ship's hangars, weapons arrays, and shield generators. This design not only gives the ship a distinctive silhouette, but also provides maximum coverage for its weapons and defensive systems. Beneath the hull, the Subjugator class is built around a reinforced power frame, a lattice of durasteel and other high-strength materials that form the skeleton of the ship. This frame is designed to withstand massive stresses from both external damage and the ship's own systems, such as the firing of the mega-ion cannons. It also helps distribute the enormous power generated by the ship's reactors, ensuring that energy is efficiently directed to all critical systems. The Subjugator-class cruiser is heavily protected by layers of durasteel armor and plating, designed to withstand both energy weapons and kinetic projectiles. The ship's hull is thick and reinforced, capable of enduring sustained enemy fire in space battles. The hull is made of multiple layers of heavy durasteel armor, which protect the ship from direct hits by turbo lasers, ion cannons, and other heavy weapons. The armor is angled in many areas to help deflect incoming fire and reduce the impact of enemy attacks. Critical areas of the ship, such as the bridge, weapon systems, and reactors, are further reinforced with additional plating. To augment the ship's protection, ablative plating is used in specific areas to absorb and dissipate the energy from enemy weapons fire. This secondary armor helps prolong the ship's ability to remain in battle even under heavy fire. The Subjugator-class cruiser is equipped with powerful deflector shields that provide an additional layer of protection beyond its armor. These shields are designed to absorb incoming fire, preventing damage to the hull and key systems during combat. The ship's primary shield generators create a protective energy field around the entire vessel, deflecting both energy and physical attacks. These shields are among the most advanced in the CIS fleet, capable of withstanding prolonged barrages from enemy capital ships. They can be adjusted to concentrate power in specific areas during combat, allowing the crew to reinforce vulnerable sections of the ship as needed. In addition to the primary shields, the Subjugator class is fitted with backup shield generators, which can be activated if the main shields are compromised. These backup systems ensure that the ship can remain protected, even if its primary shield systems are damaged. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser is a marvel of CIS engineering, with a design that balances firepower, durability, and command capabilities. Its command centers, sensor arrays, and guidance systems ensure it operates as a powerful fleet command ship, while its robust internal infrastructure, including elevators, corridors, and transport systems, allows for efficient crew movement and logistics. Externally, the ship's unique shape, reinforced power frame, armor plating, and deflector shields provide exceptional resilience in combat, making the Subjugator class a formidable opponent in any space engagement. The Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser was one of the most ambitious and resource-intensive shipbuilding projects undertaken by the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. Designed to serve as a mobile siege platform and command vessel, its construction required the mobilization of vast industrial resources, advanced shipyards, and extensive logistical coordination. The sheer size and complexity of the ship made it a costly and time-consuming endeavor, involving numerous CIS factions, secret operations, and enormous financial investment. The construction of the Subjugator-class cruiser was primarily carried out at specialized separatist shipyards, located in regions loyal to the Confederacy. Among the most important shipyards involved were the Pamment docks and other hidden shipbuilding facilities in the Outer Rim, areas that were controlled by powerful industrial and corporate entities sympathetic to the separatist cause. One of the most significant shipyards for the project, located in the Pamment system. These docks were renowned for constructing large and complex vessels for the Confederacy. The facilities here were outfitted with the advanced infrastructure necessary to handle the assembly of ships as large as the Subjugator class. Companies like the Techno-Union and the Corporate Alliance, both major backers of the separatist movement, provided the technological expertise and industrial might necessary to produce many of the ship's components. These corporations were responsible for manufacturing key modules, such as the mega-ion cannons, reactors, and sensor arrays, before transporting them to the shipyards for final assembly. Due to the immense scale and complexity of the Subjugator-class Heavy Cruiser, each ship took several years to construct from start to finish. The process involved assembling multiple sections, each of which required different engineering specialties and resources. On average, a single Subjugator-class cruiser took 3 to 5 years to complete, from the initial resource mining to final assembly and testing. The construction of the Subjugator class was conducted under extreme secrecy, as the ship represented a massive tactical advantage for the CIS. The Separatists did everything they could to conceal the project from the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order. False shipping manifests, hidden supply lines, and the use of uncharted space lanes ensured that the Republic would not discover the shipyards where these massive vessels were being assembled. Building a Subjugator-class cruiser required an enormous quantity of resources, including rare metals and materials for its advanced weapons, armor, and power systems. The Separatists established an extensive logistics network to mine, transport, and deliver the necessary resources to the shipyards. Key materials such as Durasteel, Tibanna gas for energy systems, and Kyber crystal substitutes for certain advanced weaponry and power control systems were mined from Separatist-controlled worlds and Outer Rim territories. Planets like Mustafar and Umbara were tapped for their mineral wealth, while specialized facilities on worlds such as Geonosis provided critical manufacturing support. Resources were transported to shipyards using secret, heavily protected convoys and cargo fleets, often escorted by Separatist droid fighters to prevent Republic interference. Supply lines were routed through uncharted hyperspace lanes and remote regions to avoid Republic detection, with special stations acting as staging points for large resource shipments. Given the Subjugator class's vast size and intricate design, the ship was constructed using a modular assembly process. Individual sections of the ship were built separately and then transported to the primary shipyard for final assembly. These modules included the ship's central superstructure, mega-ion cannon sections, engine housings, and hangar bays. The main spine of the ship, including the command bridge and the core of its power plant, was constructed first. This superstructure served as the foundation for the other modules and contained many of the ship's central systems, such as reactors, sensor arrays, and deflector shields. The massive mega-ion cannons were constructed separately at facilities capable of handling such powerful weapons, then transported to the shipyard. Similarly, the ship's engines and power plant modules were built at specialized engineering yards before being installed on the superstructure. Once all major components were completed, they were assembled in dry docks large enough to accommodate the entire ship. Droids, construction crews, and automated assembly systems worked around the clock to integrate these sections, welding, securing, and powering the ship's systems in unison. The final assembly process took several months, during which the ship was outfitted with its final layers of armor, internal systems, and droid control interfaces. Constructing the Subjugator-class cruiser was an immensely expensive undertaking, requiring vast sums of credits and resources. The cost of producing just one ship was equivalent to multiple smaller warships, largely due to the advanced technology involved and the scale of its firepower. The primary financial backing for the project came from the Techno-Union, Banking Clan, and other corporate entities that supported the separatist movement. These organizations provided the bulk of the credits necessary to fund the construction, as well as the industrial facilities required to build and assemble the ships. The cost of each Subjugator-class ship was driven by several factors, including the need for exotic materials, advanced reactors, and the sheer size of the vessel. The mega-ion cannons alone were incredibly expensive, given the energy requirements and specialized technology needed to construct and integrate them into the ship's frame. The extensive use of droid labor helped reduce construction costs slightly, but the project still represented one of the largest expenditures in CIS naval production. Due to the immense cost and complexity of the construction, only a small number of Subjugator-class heavy cruisers were ever produced. By the time of the Clone Wars, 2 ships are known to have been completed. The most famous of the Subjugator class, the Malevolence, was a fearsome command ship under the direct control of General Grievous. It served as a flagship for many separatist operations, and its mega-ion cannons were used to devastating effect against Republic fleets until it was destroyed. Another Subjugator-class cruiser was believed to have been under construction or completed, but it was never deployed in large-scale battles. This ship may have been kept in reserve or under repair during much of the war. It's believed that a few more Subjugator-class vessels were planned, but the fall of the Separatist alliance following the end of the Clone Wars halted further production. The construction of the Subjugator-class heavy cruisers was shrouded in secrecy due to their intended role as strategic weapons in the Clone Wars. The Republic was unaware of their existence until the Malevolence emerged in battle, and by that time, it was too late to stop the ship's deployment. However, their cost, complexity, and relatively small numbers meant that they were unable to turn the tide of the war by themselves. In conclusion, the Subjugator-class cruiser was a massive, resource-intensive project, representing the cutting edge of CIS military engineering. Built at secret shipyards with materials mined from across the galaxy, the few ships that were completed served as powerful flagships, terrorizing the Republic fleet until their eventual defeat. Despite their small numbers, the legacy of these ships, especially the Malevolence, left a lasting mark on the Clone Wars. In the Star Wars Legends expanded universe, the Subjugator-class heavy cruisers were highly influential capital ships built by the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. These colossal warships, designed primarily as fleet command vessels and mobile siege platforms, were rare but feared throughout the galaxy due to their incredible firepower, particularly the devastating mega-ion cannons. While only a few were produced, their impact in battle and their strategic value made them some of the most significant warships in the Separatist fleet. The most well-known and iconic Subjugator-class cruiser in Legends is the Malevolence, commanded by General Grievous during the early stages of the Clone Wars. This vessel was a terrifying force of destruction, primarily due to its twin mega-ion cannons, which could disable entire fleets by overloading their electrical systems and rendering them defenseless. The Malevolence played a key role in several devastating attacks on Republic forces, leaving fleets stranded and vulnerable to subsequent bombardment. In the early battles of the Clone Wars, the Malevolence was responsible for devastating attacks on several Republic fleets. It would appear out of hyperspace and, using its mega-ion cannons, disable all ships in its path, making it impossible for Republic forces to retaliate. It destroyed entire medical stations, trade convoys, and military fleets in a matter of minutes. One of the most infamous engagements was the destruction of the Republic Medical Station, where thousands of clone troopers were undergoing treatment. The Malevolence annihilated the station's defenses before a Republic strike force led by Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi finally disabled the ship in a daring raid, causing it to crash into a nearby moon and bringing its reign of terror to an end. The Malevolence met its end after an ambitious plan by Skywalker and his team damaged the ship's hyperdrive and caused it to veer off course, ultimately crashing into a moon. The destruction of this ship marked a significant victory for the Republic and a devastating blow to the CIS naval forces. According to Legends, the Malevolence was not the only Subjugator-class heavy cruiser in existence, but it was by far the most famous. There were plans to construct several more Subjugator-class vessels, and the records in the expanded universe suggest that a few more of these massive warships were either completed or partially built before the end of the Clone Wars. Several other Subjugator-class cruisers were under construction in various Separatist-controlled shipyards during the Clone Wars. These ships were designed to serve similar purposes to the Malevolence, functioning as command vessels and siege platforms capable of neutralizing entire fleets. However, none of these ships achieved the same level of notoriety, either because they were never fully operational or because their service was cut short by the rapid progress of the war. Some Subjugator-class vessels were left incomplete at the war's end. As the Republic began to push deeper into Separatist space, many shipyards were overrun before construction could be finished. These vessels were often dismantled or abandoned, and after the rise of the Galactic Empire, there was little interest in continuing these projects, as the Empire focused on building its own fleet of star destroyers and superweapons. In the Star Wars Legends continuity, the Devastation was another Subjugator-class heavy cruiser, similar to the famous Malevolence. Though it didn't achieve the same level of infamy as its counterpart, The Devastation was an essential asset to the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars, serving as a symbol of the Separatists' industrial might and technological prowess. The Devastation, like other ships of its class, was designed to serve as a mobile siege platform and fleet command vessel, capable of neutralizing entire fleets through its devastating weaponry. Subjugator-class ships were constructed to operate as mobile fortresses, equipped with formidable firepower, durable armor, and advanced shielding systems. The Devastation shared these characteristics, being nearly identical in design to the Malevolence, but its role in the war was slightly different. While the Malevolence was primarily deployed in direct fleet engagements, the Devastation often operated in more covert or specialized missions. It served as a siege platform capable of disabling and blockading heavily defended star systems, preventing the Republic from resupplying or reinforcing their positions. Like the Malevolence, the Devastation was equipped with a pair of mega-ion cannons, capable of delivering powerful ion pulses that disabled entire fleets by overloading their electronic systems. This gave the ship an advantage in battles, allowing it to cripple Republic ships before they could even fire a shot. Also, the vessel was quite different from the Malevolence. It was much larger, possessing an enormous cannon situated at the bow, with 3 protruding claw-like structures surrounding it. Presumably, a shot from this monstrous bow cannon could destroy a medium-sized planetoid, and when shelling a planet, each shot was comparable to the explosion of powerful nuclear bombs. The Devastation was deployed during the mid-stages of the Clone Wars, after the Republic had already become aware of the power of the Subjugator class through the devastating actions of the Malevolence. Learning from the earlier ship's engagements, the Separatist leadership used the Devastation more cautiously, positioning it in high-value campaigns where its firepower could decisively shift the balance of power. The Devastation played a significant role in the Siege of Umbara, a key Separatist stronghold in the Outer Rim. Its ability to disable large portions of the Republic fleet allowed Separatist forces on the surface to repel several Republic assaults. The ship's presence made it nearly impossible for the Republic to conduct orbital bombardments, forcing the Jedi and clone troopers to rely on costly ground offensives to take the planet. The Devastation was also involved in the blockade of Mandalore, where it prevented Republic reinforcements from reaching the planet. Its ion cannon proved effective in neutralizing small fleets that attempted to break through the blockade, making it a central piece in the Separatists' efforts to control critical supply lines during the conflict. Learning from the Malevolence's downfall, the Devastation was typically kept out of direct Republic ambushes. It was always accompanied by a screen of Separatist warships to prevent Republic fleets from closing in. This made the Devastation a difficult target for the Republic to engage, as it would retreat to hyperspace if a fleet threatened its position. This cautious approach helped the Devastation avoid the fate of its predecessor for much of the war. Like other Subjugator-class cruisers, the Devastation was constructed under strict secrecy. The shipyards involved in its production were kept hidden from the Republic and the Jedi Order, making use of remote regions of Separatist space and the Outer Rim territories. The Devastation did not appear in battle until after the destruction of the Malevolence. This was partly due to the need for extensive testing and fine-tuning of its systems after the Republic had gained intelligence about Subjugator-class weaknesses. The Techno-Union and other Separatist corporations involved in its production worked to address the vulnerabilities that had led to the Malevolence's destruction. Although nearly identical to the Malevolence in design, the Devastation had some improvements in its shielding and defensive systems. Engineers aimed to ensure that the ship could better survive against surprise attacks, such as the one that had resulted in the Malevolence's downfall. Despite its formidable power and careful deployment, the Devastation eventually met its end during one of the final campaigns of the Clone Wars. As the Republic gained the upper hand, the ship was drawn into a confrontation with a large Republic task force. During the Battle of Bothawui, a strategically critical planet, the Devastation was deployed to crush the Republic forces, attempting to break the Separatist blockade. However, by this point, the Republic had developed countermeasures against the mega-ion cannons, and they brought in specialized ships to resist the ion blasts. After a long engagement, Republic forces were able to disable the Devastation's hyperdrive and overwhelm its escort fleet. Once its defensive screen was neutralized, the Devastation became vulnerable to Republic starfighters and capital ships. Anakin Skywalker, leading a daring strike, targeted the ship's bridge and main power reactors. A series of bombing runs by ARC-170 starfighters eventually caused a catastrophic explosion in the ship's reactor core, leading to the destruction of the Devastation in a massive explosion visible across the battlefield. While the Devastation did not gain the level of notoriety that the Malevolence achieved, it remained a symbol of the Separatists' naval power. The ship's advanced systems, especially its mega-ion cannons, forced the Republic Navy to constantly adapt and develop new tactics to counter such overwhelming firepower. The Devastation contributed to some of the CIS's most significant victories, and its legacy persisted in the form of the technological advances it brought to capital ship warfare during the Clone Wars. The lessons learned from the Subjugator-class cruisers, including the Devastation, helped shape the future of supercapital ship design in the galaxy. While the Galactic Empire did not continue the production of Subjugator-class vessels, the engineering advancements made during their development influenced later projects, including the construction of superweapons like the Death Star. Despite the limited number of Subjugator-class ships built, vessels like the Devastation played a key role in shifting battle outcomes and ensuring that the Confederacy of Independent Systems remained a formidable opponent throughout much of the Clone Wars. In conclusion, the Devastation served as one of the largest and most powerful warships of the Confederacy. Though overshadowed by its infamous predecessor, the Malevolence, the Devastation carried the legacy of the Subjugator-class cruisers, wreaking havoc on Republic fleets and contributing to key battles during the Clone Wars. Its destruction marked the end of the Subjugator-class's reign in space, but the impact of these powerful ships remained part of galactic history. In conclusion, the Devastation served as one of the largest and most powerful warships of the Confederacy. Though overshadowed by its infamous predecessor, the Malevolence, the Devastation carried the legacy of the Subjugator-class cruisers, wreaking havoc on Republic fleets and contributing to key battles during the Clone Wars. Its destruction marked the end of the Subjugator-class's reign in space, but the impact of these powerful ships remained part of galactic history. In conclusion, the Devastation served as one of the largest and most powerful warships of the Confederacy. Though overshadowed by its infamous predecessor, the Malevolence, the Devastation carried the legacy of the Subjugator-class cruisers, wreaking havoc on Republic fleets and contributing to key battles during the Clone Wars. Its destruction marked the end of the Subjugator-class's reign in space, but the impact of these powerful ships remained part of galactic history.